Shalom, Kol Halal Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakar Kradash, and double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone. The inspiration for this particular lesson, it comes after watching the elders lesson that manages this channel. You see here, it states the children of Israel. And I'm going to leave a link in the comment section so you can watch his lesson in its entirety. But the title, it reads, IUIC, Metamorphism of the MOTB, Revelation, the 13th chapter and the 16th verse. And I'm going to say this. If you're currently a member of IUIC, your head should be spinning. And why am I saying this to you? Because the men who lead you, they have taught you over the course of the years and or the past few months that the MOTB is everything else other than what it actually is. And we here at GMS, starting with our elder apostles, elder beloved brothers on down, have always taught you and will continue to teach you that the MOTB in Revelation, the 13th chapter and the 16th verse, is the RFID micro C-hip. All right. Okay. Plain and simple. As a matter of fact, before I play this short here, I want to read a precept to you. This is the book of Revelation, the 2nd chapter, and I'll start at the 2nd verse and read on down. As a matter of fact, another precept just came to mind. In 1 Kings, the 18th chapter, and around about the 21st verse, it reads, just roughly paraphrasing, how long will you waver between two opinions? You see? Because these men, they know what the MOTB is, but they have been paid off. All right. The next scripture that comes to mind is, why dost thou trimmeth thy ways to seek love? You see, these men, they seek the love of this world. But those of us who are of the hope for the elect, we seek the kingdom to come. You see, these men, they already have received their compensation. You know, Revelation chapter 2, verse 2 on down, and it reads, these are the words of Yahweh Shai here. And it reads, I know thy works and thy labors and thy patience, and hast thou cannot bear with them which are evil. Here's the point. And thou hast tried them which say that they are apostles, and are not, and hast found them to be what? Liars. You see, you members of IUIC, the ownership, the responsibility is on you to go into the Hebrew, into the Greek. By now, at this juncture, you should have gone into Revelation, the 3rd chapter and the 10th verse, specifically that word temptation and what that means. Revelation, the 13th chapter and the 16th verse. You should have delved deep into that word mark. And it'll be amazing what you shall find. Revelation, the 13th chapter and the 18th verse. You should have gone into that word 666, which is the chi-psi stigma and what it means. Remember, the scripture says, give diligence to make your calling and election sure. Right? Remember, the scriptures tells us to study to show thyself approved, a workman that needeth not to be ashamed, man. We are in the 11th hour here. Your leaders are continuously changing up the doctrine. I'm going to get right into this video here. Now, as I mentioned previously, I'm going to leave a link in the description so you can watch his lesson in its entirety. It's a good lesson. Watch closely. And per usual, I'll chime in momentarily.
So that's there. Now let's go to what they say, what they're saying, what they said, what that outfit said 10 days ago. So now we're going to hit this video here, right? So this one was put up 10 days ago now, right? Now we're right up to date. So this was put up 10 days ago, about a week ago, April, the year April 2025, right? This video was put up roughly around the 14th of April, right? So let's hear what they're saying now 10 days ago, right? So I'm going to show you how many times this outfit changes its whole, this is why I called it IUIC metamorphism, right? Of Revelation, of the MOTB, Revelation 13 and 16, because they just, as I described to you earlier, the word metamorphic means a pronounced change affected by pressure or heat and water, and the water is the word, right? So yeah, it's changed, completely changed for them now, all right? So let's hear what they're saying now, all right?
cause it all, both small and great,
Small and great, read on.
rich and poor,
Whether you rich or you poor, read on.
free and bond,
Free or bond, read on.
to receive a mark in their right hand or in their forehead.
To receive a mark in your right hand or in your forehead. You understand? In your right hand or in your forehead, read on.
And that no man might buy or sell.
No, that mark is going into sin. When you read Job, it's going into sin. All right?
So he starts off saying, but that mark is going into sin, right? Then you're going to see this caterpillar change into a butterfly now, right? He's going to metamorph from what he just said just now and what they said previously to what he's going to break it down, what he believes it is now, all right?
That no man may buy or sell, read on.
Save he that hath the mark or the name of the beast.
So you got to have the mark or the name of the beast in order to buy or sell. Now, let me tell you also. Now, today, the trade wars, the tariffs, all that stuff you see taking place with Trump. Guess what? All nations got to call and enter into a what? An agreement with America in order to do what? But to trade, to buy and sell. We've seen it take place before our eyes. Y'all understand? But this is, as I said, is level state. Okay? I see they trying to collapse the US dollar. Okay, and they will try to bring in a new form of digital world currency. America will do that to reinforce world dominancy economically. America will do that. You know, they will collapse everybody money all over the world. You feel me? Do you know that China and a lot of these nations hold US bonds, which is basically US debt? Now, if they get rid of the US debt, guess what's gonna happen to the US dollar? It's gonna tank. The US dollar gonna tank. And guess what? America gonna do what America do. America is the oppressor. They gonna do what they gonna do. The whole economy collapse, then they come up with a new solution. And guess what? Let all nations know, listen, this is the new form of trading worldwide.
Listen carefully to what the deacon says. Listen carefully to IUIC.
And make sure all your citizens have a digital ID and all your information is on that digital ID, their bank account and all of these things. You all understand? That's the level it's gonna come to. It ain't there fully as yet, but that's the level it's gonna come to. The mark of the beast.
You hear that? So now the level that the mark of the beast is going to come to, the ultimate end, is he's telling you it's going to be a digital thing where he's going to have all the information on it, your history, your work history, your criminal history, your health history. You're going to use that to buy and sell. And ultimately the digital ID is going to be what? It's going to come in the form of a microchip. So as you can see, they're metamorphosing to the microchips. And now he's telling you that. So now it's no longer big countries, small countries. It's no longer sitting in your right hand or your left hand. You know, it's no longer trade or hegemony. Now they're metamorphing towards the digital ID that's going to have all the info. We've always said this from the off. That's the foundation of the chip, is the digital ID, digital currency, CBDC, and then the microchip is going to be the end game, right? So you can see they're metamorphosing to the microchip now. So now he's telling...
We stop there, right? And again, we want to leave a link in the comments section so you can watch this video in its entirety. I want to revisit Revelation chapter 2, verse 2 again. And it reads, I know thy works and thy labor and thy patience, and how thou canst not bear with them which are evil. And thou hast tried them which say that they are apostles, and are bishops, and are deacons, all right, and are not, and hast found them to be what? Liars. If you're a member of IUIC, are you studied enough to found that your leaders are liars, that they're not telling you the truth? Because as I mentioned from the onset, the responsibility is yours, even in the ancient world, because we should be likened unto modern day Bereans. And the Bereans were considered more noble. But why is that? Acts chapter 17, verse 11. It reads, now the Berean Jews were of more noble character than those of Thessalonica, For they received the message, here's the point, with great eagerness, and examined the scriptures every day to see if what Paul said was true. You see that? They didn't trust Paul right off the rip. I'm sure they wrote down the scriptures and they went back. They examined the scriptures every day to see if what Paul was saying was true. You see, your phone is likened unto a modern day what? Encyclopedia. We live in the information age. Everything is right at your fingertips, is it not? Let's come from this here, right? 2 Timothy chapter 2, verse 15. It reads, study to show thyself approved. Or read it again. Study to show thyself approved. Unto whom? The Most High. A workman that needeth not to be ashamed. Why is that? So we can rightly divide the word of truth. And these men here are not rightly dividing the word of truth. They have not taught you correctly what the MOTB is. They don't even teach you the name of the power of the name that you should call on in which you must be saved. Let's come out of this here, right? I like something James chapter 1, verse 22 through 25 states. But be doers of the word and not hearers only, deceiving yourselves. If you don't go into the Hebrew and the Greek, if you don't look these words up, you're deceiving yourself. Continuing on. For if anyone is a hearer of the word and not a doer, he is like a man observing his natural face in a mirror. For he observes himself and goes away and immediately forget what kind of man he is. But he who looks into the perfect law of liberty and continues in it, and is not a forgetful hearer, but a doer of the work, this one will be blessed in what he does. Because when you delve into these words, when you go into the Hebrew and the Greek and so forth, it makes your case strong. All right. Even for those of us who of the hopefully elect, the scriptures tells us the hopefully elect will never be deceived, man. And why is that? Because we're going into the words. Right? We're reading it over and over and over again. Like our elder apostle states, repetition is the father of skills. Some brothers can just rapid fire and spit off. They can go into the charagma. They can go into the charax. They can go into palisade. They can go into grapho, so on and so forth. Let me come from here. This is meant to be quick, and we'll finish here in 1 Timothy chapter 4, verse 15 through 18. And it reads this: meditate on these things. I'll read it again. Meditate on these things. Give yourself entirely to them, to reading, to studying, to looking up things, doing your own research, being more noble than other Israelites. Meditate on these things. Give yourself entirely to them, that your progress may be evident to all. Take heed to yourself and to the doctrine. Continue in them, for in doing so, this is the point, you will save both yourself and your hearers. You see, I'm gonna leave a link in the description so you can watch this elder's lesson in its entirety. It was a phenomenal lesson. He goes into the history of what they taught and how they morphed over time. And I would like to give all praises and honor and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Rakakwadash. Shalom.